I mean, it's Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday morning. To those of you listening in the morning, we went live early so we could react to the Thursday night football game. And I think starting next week, we'll just go live as soon as the game ends. That being said, this is the most unreaction-worthy game. It's kind of like the Bills didn't even play that well, but they're still better than the Dolphins. The Dolphins are all right. Like, there's like nothing to react to. The reaction is like, yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, looking at the spread, you're like, man, laying 11, 12 points in a division game, that's kind of crazy. But then who wants to bet on the Dolphins? And then the Dolphins kind of hung around, but they also got dominated. It was weird in that sense where the scoreboard said the Dolphins were in the game, but if you were watching it, you never felt like they were in the game. Props were very annoying for me. I had Achan receiving yards, and he kept getting all these catches in like 1 or 2 yards. Should have just played the reception total, and they were running him out as a receiver. That was kind of interesting. And then you got the Hawes anytime touchdown, which was fun. But yeah, I mean, other than that, there was like a couple interesting props, but as a game, this is kind of what you expected, right? Where Buffalo won, but it didn't look pretty. I guess it didn't have to. I'm a little worried about Buffalo's defense, I think, if I'm a Bills fan.
Yeah, maybe. It was just like a little bit of a... I mean, that was the Super Bowl for the Dolphins. That was the savior season game. So you knew you were going to get their best fastball. I guess that's about as good as a Miami Dolphins fastball gets right now.
Yeah.
I didn't even place a bet on the game. I was thinking about going under 50.5, which would have lost on that last field goal there at the end, so I would have been pretty pissed about it. That being said, there was definitely an under game. There was only 8 scoring drives, and they still managed to put up 52. But there's no field goals. Like, every single scoring drive was a touchdown. But there were not a ton of explosive plays. It was a pretty slow game. So it was definitely an under game. I would have been pissed if I placed that under and it lost like that. But
yeah, no, it was a lot of long, methodical drives, and it was just one of those games where you're like, oh, there's going to be a turnover that decides it, and then, of course, Tua just throws a horrible pick.
Horrible.
And I'm sure every Bills backer was like, take it to the house, take it to the house. Get that cover.
All right, yeah, it's not a very reaction-worthy game. We got 4 NFL games queued up. Then I got 8 college football games queued up. I got Step on a Duck coming on, and then Toast is coming on. He'll join me last to do MLB. So we got a lot to get through. First up, so I criticized your choice of the Steelers-Seahawks game last week. I do think this is an interesting game to talk about. And I think the lead story in this one, for those of you listening, it's Steelers-Patriots in New England is what we're talking about. I think the lead story in this one is you're looking at the Steelers' defensive numbers so far in the year, and the question is this for real? 31.5 points allowed per game, 6.5 yards per play allowed, success rate allowed over 48%. They have terrible defensive numbers. I don't have it ranked amongst the NFL, but they might be the worst defense in the NFL on paper so far this year. So my first question is this for real, considering they played Justin Fields and then Sam Darnold at home? And then the second question is, which is that Patriots offense we saw last week for real? It's an interesting one. I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I am buying in on the Steelers, and it's obviously not a lot of it is surrounded their defense. I like this situation spot for them more than I necessarily like their defense. I don't think their defense is this bad, right? And I think it's a veteran team. Tomlin always seems to right the ship, but certainly as a Steelers backer in this game, and I was over on their win total. I'm always going to be over on their win total because he always goes 9-8 somehow. So I would say I don't think it's going to completely last, but I don't think it's obviously you can't be optimistic about what you've seen so far from this defense. What I do like in particular, though, for this matchup is I just love Tomlin off a loss. I mean, historically, he's been great in that situation, 59-46 ATS. And this is over a long sample size. It's not some weird trend. It's a good coach being able to get his team up here. And I don't I don't think this Patriots team is for real. I was locked in on that Pats Dolphins game. I don't think the Patriots look particularly well. I think they got that kick return for a touchdown. They tried to give up a game-winning drive to the Dolphins, and Achan stepped out of bounds on that pass play. Otherwise, he was gone. So I really don't like what I've seen out of the Pats. Certainly their offense looked a little bit better. I think it was because they were playing the Dolphins. Now you could say, well, what has the Steelers defense done? I actually think this is a good matchup for the Steelers offense against the Patriots defense. We'll see what they get out of Christian Gonzalez. Obviously, him not being in the backfield has hurt them. But I think if he does play, I don't think he's going to be 100%. And again, I just go back to Steelers, awful loss. I think they rebound. I'm still really skeptical of this Pats offensive line. I think it's going to get tested here against Pittsburgh.
I agree with basically every word you said, and I hate it because I don't want to back the Steelers here. I don't want to lay anything, even if it is a point with the Steelers in a road game. But I agree, it should be a really good matchup for the Steelers offensively. I honestly thought the Steelers were still going to be a run-first offense, and they were going to let Aaron Rodgers be a game manager on a run-first defensive team. But seems like they're letting Rodgers be Rodgers. I mean, they're throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, you look into the prop stuff like Jaylen Warren receiving yards, Jaylen Warren getting him involved in the game plan seems to be a big part of it. And going back to guys who I thought Caleb Johnson might have a role in this team after what he did on Sunday. I never want to see that kid again. I thought he was a decent prospect. They seemed high on him, and him just not fielding the kickoff and Seattle falling on the ball. I mean, there's no, as a gambler, when that happens, there's no way of recovering from this game because it's such a swing play. They just scored. You were supposed to get the ball and then drive down, and instead you give up an instant touchdown. It's insane. I'm trying to remember of any time I've seen that live. So I think that, again, when outlier stuff happens like that, like the Colts Broncos game, which maybe we will discuss at some point, when crazy stuff happens like that, I like to bet that it's not going to happen again for them.
Yeah, that play, my best friend from high school is a diehard Steelers fan, and during the draft, I texted him, like, you guys hit a home run. Like, this guy's a monster. And
good.
he texted me, he's like, this guy sucks. Like, you don't know shit. Like, he just texted me all this.
Kyle, why'd you hype up this piece of shit running back?
I wasn't hyping him up as a kick returner. How about that?
No.
As far as the Steelers offense, they've been throwing the ball a lot, and this Patriots defense, they've actually been generating a little pressure. They can't seem to cover anybody. In their first two games against the Raiders and Dolphins, I mean, I'm not going to read off the numbers, the pass defense numbers. They're getting cooked through the air. Back-to-back games, they got cooked through the air. They can't seem to cover anybody. And does Christian Gonzalez coming off an injury instantly fix all their problems? Maybe that's a little bit of a Band-Aid, but they have a gaping wound. Like, they need more than a Christian Gonzalez. They can't seem to cover anybody. So coming off a loss, it should be a really good matchup for Rodgers to piece apart this Patriots defense. This isn't the same Patriots defense in years past where we can just hang our hats. Every year, no matter who's on the defense, you can just hang your hat on the Patriots having a top 10 defense. Those days are gone. So I agree with that. I don't really know. I kind of think the Steelers defense comes around also. It's been really bad, though, and they're not exactly healthy. Joey Porter Jr. hasn't practiced. Deshaun Elliott hasn't practiced. Alex Highsmith's not playing in this game. So the Steelers defense, yes, it's not this bad. It can't be this bad, but I don't know if I necessarily trust it to come around here on the road. It would only be Steelers because I just can't see the Steelers losing this game. I would be shocked if the Steelers lost this game. But yeah, it may be an over, but I honestly think that this is one of those games where we react to 2 weeks like, oh, this should be a shootout. And then it's like 17-16.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh man, we shouldn't react to 2 weeks. Like one of those games, like a gut check. So yeah, it would only be Steelers. This
is the ultimate gut check for the Steelers team coming off a game I felt like they blew. I mean, they turned over Darnold a couple times. If that kickoff return for a touchdown essentially the other way doesn't happen, I think they might figure out a way to get that win. And if you're looking to the public seems to be back in the Patriots as a dog here, which is always any public dogs I like to try and stay away from.
Yeah, maybe they're selling their Steelers stock.
Yeah, I'll buy it. Steelers always figure this stuff out.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm an avid. Don't get me in a Mike Tomlin debate. That's one of those like Barstool debates. I'll die on the hill that guy sucks as a coach.
Well, it's certainly when you factor in the playoffs, he has not been on a great run. But it takes some sort of skill to always have a winning record and always get into the playoffs.
Sucks as a coach was an exaggeration. The most overrated coach in history is usually the card I play. But anyway, I'm all ears here. The first thing that comes, for those listening, we've moved on to Rams Eagles, and Sean's an Eagles fan. He's decked out in Eagles green. So the first thing that jumped out at me when I looked at this game was, damn, the Rams Stafford plays these guys tough, and that snow game pops out, the playoff game pops into my head. The Rams might be a top 3 or 4 team in the NFC. I don't think it's a cakewalk for the Eagles, but give me a 3. What do you think? You going Birds?
Of course, I'm going Birds here. And I love this situation spot for the Eagles. I know the Rams, they're getting up for this game, but in some ways I think the Eagles are too. There's been a lot of dialogue, a lot of chatter. Oh, the only reason the Eagles won was because of the tush push. You listen to Jordan Mailata, he said that shit makes my blood boil. So I expect a very intense effort by the offensive line. I'm sure I even saw they assigned the guy who calls the most false starts to the Eagles game. Classic NFL shenanigans. So yeah, will they get called up for a false start maybe on a tush push? Who knows? But I do know the Eagles' ability to run on this Rams team has been the difference in the game, in both games they played. Saquon Barkley averaged 230 yards in the 2 games he played the Rams. Both times he had 200 plus against the Rams, including 255 in LA, 205 at home, 2 touchdowns in each game. I mean, if you want to bet Saquon Barkley to have a third 200-yard game, it's 40-1 over on DraftKings. If you hashtag gamble responsibly. I just think this Eagles team has a very simple formula. They pound the rock. You're going to see Saquon Barkley break off some big plays because the Rams pass defense is very good. Jared Verse defensive line, very good, but they can't seem to slow down the run. And honestly, the Titans kind of hung around in that game because of their ability to run on this Rams team. It's a back-to-back road spot. The Rams flew back to LA before flying back to the East Coast. Kyle, I don't know. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not a back expert. But if I'm at Stafford and I have to take that many coast-to-coast flights, that can't help a guy with the sort of back issues that he's had. And this defense is playing really, really well. I mean, I think they did a great job against the Chiefs and the Cowboys. The young defensive line is playing pretty well. Now, Adoree Jackson, their second cornerback, has been the weakness. So maybe Devontae Adams has a couple big catches, but I expect the Eagles to run the football, not turn it over, and win the game. That's their formula, and I anything under 3 at home to me is a smash for the Eagles.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I like this Rams team too. I feel like I'm usually defending the Rams. I'm usually saying, hey guys, this is a sleeper team in the NFC, and I think behind the Eagles and maybe Green Bay, based on what we've seen, you could put the Rams right up there as a top team in the conference. But there's no way you're going to convince me that on a neutral field, the Eagles are only 1 point better than the Reds. Like, are you crazy with that?
Yeah. And the Eagles are, I mean, I don't know how you do your power ratings or whatever, but the Eagles, to me, you got to give them a legit home field advantage compared to some stadiums. I mean, compared to the Rams and SoFi or some of these other stadiums, like the fan base brings it. It seems to impact the games. And again, there's been so much chatter about how that wasn't a good win against the Chiefs, et cetera, et cetera. The Eagles have shown an ability to respond after these games where there's been a lot of noise. Like the sleepy spot for the Eagles could be next week at Tampa Bay. And Tampa's always a team that gives the Eagles a lot of trouble, heat and humidity. If they end up winning this game and covering, starting 3-0 and then going on the road to Tampa, I'm kind of more worried about that game than this game. But I know the Eagles are taking it one game at a time. I can look ahead, but they're fired up for this game.
Yeah, this is what I want. This is a dream world here. I want the Bucs to struggle with the Jets.
Yeah,
struggle with the Jets, and then I'll hammer Bucs money line it open for week 4. I was thinking the same thing. It would only be the Eagles here. I also wouldn't be mad at. Actually, I was when I first looked, I was considering under 44.5 is low though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the Eagles, they're a python, right? They get up, they squeeze the life out of you. Like that Chiefs game. Was it pretty at all? No, but I, as a fan, as a guy on the Eagles backing them, like I felt pretty confident that they were going to hang on and get that game. And it feels like this is what we're going to see again. Maybe some explosive plays from Barkley end up helping with the margin, but yeah, they're great at home.
Yeah, the way the Eagles coached against the Chiefs, it was just couldn't get them off the field. The slow, grinded away. Your defense tires out, and so it would lead me to an under. But yeah, wouldn't go under there. Now, the last 2 games, I have bets in both these games, and I really, really like the next one. It's disgusting, but I like it. This one, I did bet this game. I am on the Texans. Do you agree?
Yes, 100%. Giving the Texans a desperate 0-2 team, getting points here. I don't think the Texans are that bad. Like, they had a tough, they played this Rams team, who I think is a pretty good team in LA, pretty well, held them to 14 points, and then should have won. I mean, hats off to Baker. I don't want to take anything away of what he did, but they had that game in hand, blew it with that last touchdown drive. But again, the defense is keeping them in these games. And this Jags offense, I mean, how do you lose that game in Cincinnati? You get 3 interceptions from Jake Browning. You knock Burrow out of the game, and you can't even – not only do you not win, you don't cover the 3.5. And Brian Thomas Jr., he does not look right. I think that hospital ball that Trevor threw him in the preseason really seems to rattle him. And if you follow, like, we have a thing on our podcast called the AFC South Flow Chart. There are just situations where Team A always goes into Team B and takes care of business. Like, the Texans are, I think, 9-1 straight up the last 10 games at Jacksonville. There's something going on in some of these division where, like, one team owns another in a certain division spot. So, yeah, I'm all over the Texans here.
Yeah, I actually have a couple graphics that show it. I'll pull them up on the screen. Jacksonville 2-12 in their last 14 matchups against the Texans, and at home in Jacksonville, 7 straight home losses.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes, but the Jags own the Colts. It's like it's like a rock paper scissors thing there in the AFC South.
It is weird. And then Trevor Lawrence, he like 58% completion percentage. Him and Liam Cohen aren't on the same page, but. Yeah, I love this spot for the Texans. Why are you on them, Kyle?
Well, a lot of the same reasons. And also, I'm looking at the numbers from these 2 teams, and like every single number I'm seeing, I'm like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Like, for example, let's start with you look at this. Actually, I'm going to pull it up on the screen so you guys can see it. You look at this graphic right here. And this might lead you to believe, Houston can't run the ball. The Jags are playing great defense against the run. Houston's struggling to get the run going. They played the Rams and the Bucks. The Bucks, when they're healthy, when Todd Bowles has a healthy defense and Vita Vea in the middle, they always have a strong run defense. And the Rams have a top 10 defense in the NFL. Meanwhile, we're throwing the Jags a parade for shutting down the Panthers and the Bengals rushing attack. I think that Houston's going to go into this one, hand it off, play conservative, and move the football. I think we'll finally see Nick Chubb get going, Woody Marks. I think that the Texans are going to run the ball in this game. Look, I don't love the idea of backing C.J. Stroud on the road. But I think we're going to see a conservative game plan, though. I truly think Houston could run the ball in this game. And on the other side, look, Jacksonville is not putting up points because Trevor Lawrence is playing well. The run game has been there for Jacksonville. I mean, they're averaging over 170 rushing yards per game, 6 yards per carry. Congrats against Carolina and Cincinnati. This is one of the best defensive fronts in the NFL. That's not going to be there. And Trevor Lawrence, you can't even put up a decent stat line against the Panthers or the Bengals. What are you going to do against Houston, a team that not only owns the Jags, but he has really struggled against Houston? His numbers, career against the Tech, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a 73.6 career QB rating against the Texans. So he never plays well against these guys. I got a +2.5. I would still take it at the +1.5. I think this line is a clear case of we're reacting to the first 2 weeks. I think Houston is the significantly better team, and they definitely have Jacksonville's number. So, yeah, I'm on this one. Next up. Oh, God. I am ashamed to say I kind of like this bet a lot. And you can tell by my disgust what side I'm on. You didn't lay it, did you?
Seahawks?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm on the Seahawks lane.
Oh, my God. I'm on the Saints, and I like it.
All right, well, so I'm on the Seahawks at 7. 7.5, it's a little different story. To me, this is as simple as fading Spencer Rattler on the road. I think you look at the Saints D-line, they've had 23 pressures in 2 games at home. And now you're going to go up to Seattle and expect that a team that you just cannot generate pressure against a Seattle team. I also think Seattle's going to be able to just pound the rock here against this New Orleans team. And I understand. I've watched all the games. I see New Orleans. I understand a potential like, hey, they hung around, they backdoored both these two games. But I think what they did at home, I think they're going to have trouble replicating. Now, the matchups that I think if I was making a case for the Saints, I'd say like, hey, Alvin Kamara and the check down stuff. Seattle traditionally struggles with some of that. Juwan Johnson might have a big game, and those are the two big kind of offensive weapons, if you call them that, for the Saints. I just think Spencer Rattler on the road. We saw the best version of Spencer Rattler those first 2 weeks at home, and it was not an amazing version. I like the Seahawks here back at home. Nice confidence building win for him here. Why are you on the Saints here?
I'm not just on the Saints. It's one of my favorite bets I have open.
Oh, really?
Right? It's disgusting.
Really? Talk me into it.
I really think that we're looking at Spencer Rattler's opportunity to finally have a good game. And I know how. Against the Seahawks defensive front, that defensive line is loaded. Well, it's a weird spot. Seattle coming off a huge upset win on the road in Pittsburgh, flying back home. They're hobbled in this. I mean, Julian Love and Witherspoon didn't play last week. Neither has practiced this week. Those are the two best pieces of that secondary. Reek Woolen is not playing well. I mean, I don't like to single players out, but he kind of single-handedly lost the San Francisco 49ers game. Back-to-back plays he got beat on. Reek Woolen isn't playing well. If Julian Love and Witherspoon aren't able to go, this Seattle secondary is a shell. And you got a Saints offensive line that, look, the story with Spencer Rattler, and this dates back to South Carolina. This dates back to college. We haven't seen this dude with time to throw since Oklahoma. I mean, he was running for his life at South Carolina. He comes into the NFL. He finally gets a chance to play when Derek Carr goes down. The entire Saints offensive line is hurt. It's just pick up right. He's running for his life again. So I'm not like a Spencer Rattler apologist or anything, but I will say, like, we've never seen this dude with a second to throw ever. And with the Seahawks coming back home after upset win and the Saints getting Trevor Penning back, hopefully on the offensive line, they lose their guard, who is Redunz. Dylan Redunz got hurt last week, but the only reason he was starting was because Trevor Penning was out. So Trevor Penning's practicing. If he's back, we might see the Saints with a healthy offensive line for the first time this year. Actually, we might see the Saints with a healthy offensive line for the first time since Spencer Rattler's been the quarterback. That includes last year. So I don't know. The Seahawks coming off a big upset win, coming back home to a Saints team 0-2 coming in with a healthy offensive line. I think Spencer Rattler's going to complete passes. And when it comes to the Seahawks offense, they look good in Pittsburgh, and I'm not going to take it away from them. I can't unsee that San Francisco game. Sam Darnold did not look good in that game, and I'm not going to let one good game erase the bad game. Seattle, in my opinion, is not a team that should be laying more than a touchdown. I think it's a perfect spot. I think the Saints are live, man. It's disgusting. I like it. I'm on the Saints.
Well, I mean, Spencer Rattler's never won a game in the NFL. Now, he started 9 games, and I would say, what you saw from some of like Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall against that Saints secondary, I think JSN is going to have a very good game. And I think if you don't pressure Sam Darnold, then Sam Darnold could end up being pretty good. Like the difference in pressure splits versus non-pressure splits for Darnold is always where he struggles. I mean, Bosa shoving the tackle into him, causing that fumble, the 49ers. I just don't think the Saints team can pressure the quarterback, especially on the road. And you want to talk about motivation spots. The Saints kind of just had their 2 biggest games at home. Hey, we're the Saints, low expectations. We're going to show them they're wrong. We're going to show them they're wrong. And now they're 0-2. They're on the road. Are they going to be able to get up? Maybe they are that desperate team. We saw Miami have a little bit of fight here, 0-2, possibly losing their 3rd game. I think historically, if you just take 0-2 teams catching the points, that makes sense. But I just think this is a tough spot matchup-wise. And I think Seattle's going to be able to pressure the quarterback. They're not going to be able to pressure Darnold. And I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, but they haven't lost the game by more than 7 yet. I
mean, that to me is because they're at home. But we'll see. We'll see.
So, Sean, what day do you guys do? I want to call in. For those of you that don't know, I was watching last week. They do a live caller segment. It's pretty hilarious. I didn't know that. I'd never seen that before. So, like a live caller where callers call in, and some of their callers are freaks.
You might have been talking about Dick Puncher. We got guys doing dab hits calling into the show. So, yeah.
The Giants guy.
Terrell, yeah. No, there's certainly some characters. So we do on Sundays. That's when we have the callers. So we do a pregame show at noon East, 9 a.m. Pacific, kind of going up to kickoff, and then after the Sunday night game, we recap all the games, the winners, the losers, whatever, what bets hit, what bet didn't, and then we do a segment. Hey, who do you want to shove in a locker? Basically, like what pissed you off gambling, so you come vent, feel better about it, and then we do our Monday night props. So Sunday night's usually a really fun show to call in. But yeah, we take callers Sunday morning pregame show and then the Sunday postgame show as well.
I just shared the link to your channel in there.
Awesome, man.
So yeah,
that.
I'll be in there. I'm calling in Sunday night.
Yes,
that was funny.
Get in there, Kyle. We want to hear your takes.
Yeah, I was watching it after the fact. That's why I was like, oh shit, I didn't know they did call-ins.
Yeah, you could have called in and touted Lou Anarumo took down the Denver Broncos.
I lost the image. It was the image of Lou was. You were pitching and Lou was smacking a home run and then he was rounding second. It was hilarious, dude. I lost it.
I mean, that Broncos game, my God. They call 3 leverage penalties a year. And of course, I'm on the one where it's a 60-yard field goal. The field goal misses. I was on Broncos pick. Get up. I celebrate. I'm like, great win. And walking back to get a beer. And then I come back in the room like, why are they kicking it again? My God. So
how do you make that call?
Yeah.
It's not like anyone would have noticed. Like, how do you make that call?
And it's one of those things too, like, yes, I know the rule, and yes, technically that was a rule violation, but also it's one of those things you see all the time and that doesn't get called. So that's where people get frustrated, where it's like you only call it 4 times a year and the one time you call it is a game winner, 60-yarder.
No, you call that in the second quarter as a corrective to remind the league, like, hey, we're still watching this. You don't call it to decide the game.
No, that's a teaching tape for next week. Hey, guys, maybe call this in the first quarter.
Yes.
Just a heads up, this is still illegal. You don't let that determine the game on a 60-yard field goal.
I agree. Insane. I had Broncos money line and Colts plus 3.5. So I was about to do a middle dance. Like I was feeling like the man.
Oh yeah. I mean, what about the people middling out there like Kyle? You're taking
middling lives matter too.
Yes, middling lives do matter.
All right, Sean. I will talk to you soon. I'll call in over the weekend.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Let it ride.
Later, man. All right, let's get the duck on next. We'll talk some college football. All right, just emailed him. Let me text him, let him know the emails. Password. There you go. Just texted him. We'll be on in a minute. Yeah. I know. Isn't it disgusting? I wasn't just saying that about the Saints. That's not a bit. I actually think Saints plus 7.5 is a great bet. I know. It's sad. Trust me. It pains me to say it. It's just, the Seahawks laying more than a touchdown seems insane to me. That Sam Darnold did not look good in that opening game against San Francisco, and I think Spencer Rattler is going to, if Julian Love and Witherspoon don't play for Seattle, I think Spencer Rattler could have himself a good game throwing the ball. All right, Iowa Rutgers is up first. Let me make sure I send them to the right. Appreciate the super chat, man. As long as Sam Darnold doesn't get pressured, he's gonna ball mentally. Yeah, I don't know, man. He looked like crap in that. Sorry for that. I should have sent this link to him sooner. All right, well, while we're waiting, what do you guys want to talk about? We're on the same side with Mark. Yeah. Mark, I think the Saints are one of my favorite NFL bets that I have open right now. Plus 7.5, I love it. Josh is here. All right, it's Thursday from the Action Network. We got the Duck here. I actually haven't talked to you since last Thursday. So real quick, before we get into anything, how was your weekend? And what was any reactions from the weekend? Anything jump out at you?
Good Good weekend overall. It was a fun weekend. A lot of the plays we talked about on the show were pretty good here, so I was excited about that. We're just going to start to see some of these teams get into conference play here, and we're going to get some real good data points now after this weekend. So this is really one where it's important to take note and watch, even if you're not betting on these games, to at least take note of how these teams play. For a great example would be Oklahoma and Auburn. Huge indicator game on how the trajectory of those seasons are going to go. Michigan, Nebraska is another one. The game you have on the screen right now, Iowa, Rutgers, is critical for both of those teams if they want to make a bowl game. So it's really going to be a fun weekend of college football this weekend, and really a good learning weekend. So get the notepad out and really take notes about what the eyeballs tell you when you're on the screens.
Yeah, I got some really good numbers. I got a couple that moved against me. In what world is Scott Frost laying more than a touchdown? That's not on our list. We don't have to talk about that game. I can't believe that movement. Who is originating that? Who is betting UCF? Yeah. Who is laying a touchdown with UCF? That's crazy to me. I got North Carolina on the money line. I don't understand that one, and we don't have to get into it. It's not on our list. I can't believe that movement.
No, I can't believe it either. And I'm right there with you. I took +7. I took North Carolina on the money line, and we're gonna look like geniuses after this, and it'll be puzzling as to why they did that, or we may end up looking like fools. With every bet made, there's a fool and a thief.
Yep.
And I know which one. We know. We're normally the thieves. So it's puzzling movement though. I don't understand personnel wise, schematics, coaching. None of it points to UCF here. So really puzzling line there.
Yeah. But that is not on our list. We're starting off with the Friday night game. I uploaded a video where I talked about this one. Obviously, you guys know the pick is Rutgers, but I'm just supporting New Jersey here. Look, college football is different here. It's not as popular. So, like, when Rutgers is good, I have to remind my friends from high school, like, guys, Rutgers is good. Like, college football is not very popular here. So Rutgers is kind of like, this is our thing, man. This is our only involvement in the college football world. We did win our big primetime game last year against Washington, which was huge. And I know that's not a true Big Ten game, Washington. This is a true Big Ten game against the Hawkeyes. And the game script or the game plan's pretty set in stone here for Iowa. Hand the ball off between the tackles. And I don't think there's a damn thing Rutgers can do to stop it. They do not have a good run defense. But what Rutgers does have, this defense doesn't look good. It looks pretty soft, and that's not what you want to be when you play Iowa. What they do have is edge rushers. I like their edge rushers, and I don't trust Gronowski on the road. So if I'm laying 2.5 points on the road, I better believe in the offense. I don't know if they can necessarily finish off drives just on the run. I feel like the play calling is going to be predictable. Callie McManus has turned over a new leaf. Again, I'm just picking Rutgers because I'm going to be watching, rooting for Rutgers. I can't even legally bet this game in New Jersey anyway. But it'd be Rutgers for me. I know everyone's you're probably on Iowa, right?
So much disrespect for Monmouth, dude. What are we doing here? Monmouth has a great team. No, I've fallen in love with Sunj over the years, and I think that Rutgers has been just a really great resurrection story with Schiano coming back for the second tenure. The defense looks so atypical of a Schiano coach defense. The intestinal fortitude along the D line, especially at D tackle, has been lacking. Linebackers have been out of position. They've been gashed quite a bit, and it's been really stunning to see. And so I think you're completely right. Iowa's going to hand the ball off 50 times. They might throw it 16, and I don't think Rutgers is going to be able to stop it. My concern for Rutgers is they're going to try to run the ball. Schiano loves to play a little possession game, ball control, field position. Can they run the ball on Iowa's front seven? I don't know. So what that's going to do is you're going to put a lot of pressure on Callie McManus to have to make throws. And I just worry about their ability to complete passes against the Iowa secondary. They have two major dudes at receiver, does Rutgers. KJ Duff and DT Sheffield are playmakers at receiver that this bunch has not had hardly ever. So there is a path to success, and there's really a path to both teams having success offensively. You look at a game like this in years past, and you'd say, well, first 1 to 20 is going to win this game. But I think both these teams could be in the mid-20s here. This could actually be a sneaky overplay. I don't have a play on this game as of the time that we're talking about this one, but I'll be, again, interested to see if Rutgers is able to throw the ball on the Iowa secondary, and if Rutgers can create enough down and distance situations where Iowa has to throw it. Can Gronowski do it on the road? Because he has been putrid this year so far. So real interesting game. Truly, gun to my head, I'd probably take a stab on the home dog there, about plus 112 on the money line.
And look, you were talking about the Rutgers defense. You would probably take a stab on Rutgers money line. I love to hear it. You're talking about Schiano's defense, and I'm not going to be a Schiano defender or anything. I will say it's had a little bit of bad luck. Last year, about 3 weeks before the season, they lose Muhammad Torrey for the year. That's their inside linebacker, leading tackler. So they lost the captain of the defense right before the season started last year. And then this year, you mentioned defensive tackle. Well, they brought in Doug Blue Eli from South Florida to be the nose tackle, the anchor, out for the year before the season started. So back-to-back years, Rutgers got hit with a back-breaking injury in terms of the defensive interior or at the inside linebacker. Again, not making excuses. Part of coaching is you got to deal with injuries, next man up. That's part of football. But they really had some bad luck as far as injuries on the defense the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate too. And I think this down the stretch, this could be a really sneaky good against the number team outside of their trip to Washington, where Washington's really going to want to get them back for what happened in their game last season. But you look at the spots that they catch teams like Illinois and Ohio State. They catch these teams in some pretty good spots. So Rutgers will be a sneaky ATS team the rest of the way.
Yeah. Callie McManus looks different too. He's dealing with pressure really well. Granted, not insane competition, but Miami of Ohio's a respectable defense. Ohio, not really, but they're a respectable team. But his numbers under pressure are excellent, and that's what you like to see because that's where I didn't trust him in years past. This is a true test, though. All right, you better not. By the way, the graphics are backwards here. North Texas is on the road, so this makes it look like Army's on the road. It's not. The graphics are backwards. North Texas is on the road here. You better not be picking Army in this game. We're North Texas guys, me and you. You're picking Army.
No, truer words have never been spoken. We're North Texas guys. We are absolutely North Texas apologists, and here's why. You look at the improvements made by Skylar Cassidy immediately to the North Texas defense. They've been stunning up to this point, and they are very real. 2.7 yards per rush surrendered on the ground. 230 total yards given up, just 3.7 yards per play. 3 total red zone touchdowns. This group is 29th in defensive success rate, 13th in EPA per play defensively, 21st in standard down success. I can totally see the game script being you can control the option and you can limit the explosiveness for Army on first and second down. And they're going to have to use their backup quarterback and throw their way out of it. And I don't think they're going to be able to do it here. Army's offense is totally lacking the punch that they had last year with Bryson Daly and Kanye Udo. Just 3.8 yards per rush, 91st in offensive rush explosiveness this year, just 93rd nationally in offensive success rate. You look at Army, they have to be successful on first and second down to keep themselves in third and short. Not going to happen here. Lastly, you look at the most stunning result of Army's season, I thought. The only team that was able to really quarantine that electric offense was North Texas. North Texas lost 14-3, but Army didn't score fewer points than that the entire regular season. So this team at least has familiarity with the scheme. North Texas is significantly better. Army is significantly worse. I'm not buying it. I took North Texas at +3 immediately on the openers. I've already gone back for more on the money. Essentially a pick'em game now, but absolutely 1,000% North Texas on the money line. They're going to win this game on the field, and this will springboard them to really controlling a path to them being a contender in the conference.
Agree with every single word, and shout out to Kyle Hunter in the comments, who it sounds like he's agreeing with us. He's saying Cassidy's going to get a bigger job soon, which after what he's doing with this defense, guys, North Texas couldn't play defense the last couple of years, and out of nowhere, their defense looks excellent. And there's just my thoughts on this game. I agree with every single word you said. North Texas, they're a considerably better team, but there's 2 data points here that are just throwing this market off. Number 1, North Texas on the road at Western Michigan. The final score is not at all an indication of how that game went. North Texas dominated that football game. The fact that it went to overtime was insane. I mean, North Texas averaged like 6.6 yards per play to 4.4. It was an absolute domination. Yes, it was 30-30 and went to overtime, but Western Michigan scored 30 points. They had a success rate below 35%, under 4.3 yards per play. North Texas beat the hell out of Western Michigan. The final score is not a good indication. The other data point that's throwing us off is on the Army side. Kansas State, great win for Army. Not trying to take credit away. Guys, Kansas State might suck. Like after watching that Arizona game, the fact that game was close is not realistic. I mean, Arizona was by far the better team. It wasn't for a kickoff return and a big play there early in the third quarter. Arizona blows them out. So again, not taking away credit from Army for getting that win, but seeing at first when we saw it, like, wow, they stifled the Kansas State offense. That's really impressive for Army. Now it's looking like UCLA could stifle that Kansas State offense. So I'm not as impressed. Yeah, I think those two data points I think this should be above a field goal. I would probably make this 3.5. North Texas minus 3.5 on the road. I think North Texas is very strong. So yeah, I didn't bet this one because I missed the early number. You said you got a +3. I was looking at a +2.5 early, didn't grab it. Then next thing you know, I looked and they're laying points on the road. So I kind of was like, I missed it, but I still think there's an edge here. I think this should be a field goal or more.
Huge edge, and I totally take away exactly what you did from the Kansas State game. Kansas State was up 13-0. They had Army backed up 3rd and long, about the 9-yard line, couldn't get them off the field, had a chance to completely stranglehold that game and couldn't do it, and then just had no attitude, no intensity coming out of the locker room at half, and completely laid down in the second half. And that's really kind of been the motif of Kansas State's season up to this point. And so I took a lot away from that one for Kansas State in a bad, rather than necessarily Army being any good. And I think Army's in some major trouble the rest of the way. We talked on the program here about the Army regular season win under. My opinion hasn't changed. And you look at what Army has coming down the pipe the rest of the way. At East Carolina and truly at UAB will be no picnic for that secondary. And then you have Tulane, Air Force, UTSA, and Navy still on the slate. I think Army struggles to make a bowl game.
Oh, yeah, completely agree. You just might have named 4 losses right off the bat. All right, I'm interested where you're going to go with this. So I am holding a bet here. It looked a lot better about 24 hours ago, over 61.5. It's coming back down. It's at 62.5 now. So I'm on the over. We saw like about 170 points in this game last year. This is the last game of this rival. Well, you don't want to say the last ever. They could bring it back. It's the last game of the skillet rivalry here.
Scheduled game.
Yeah, the last scheduled game. Correct. My opinion as far as the side. So I'll put over up because that's actually a bet I have in my pocket. I have over 61.5. My opinion on the side is I agreed with TCU at 3.5. I think it's gone too far. At 7, I think you have to start to look at the SMU side. Look, I don't think SMU is going to stop TCU's offense. In fact, I don't think anybody can stop Sonny Dykes' offense right now. But SMU, all their losses from last year and all the concerns for that team, in my opinion, belong on the other side of the field. I'm worried about SMU's defense. Look, Jennings' ankle could be a concern. He was limping around, and maybe he's not healthy, and maybe that's part of the reason for this movement towards TCU. But if Jennings is out there, I still have SMU as a top 25 offense in terms of explosiveness, and TCU's defense is improved. I think SMU is going to go right up and down the field. So I would agree with TCU at 3.5. At 7, I would lean back towards the SMU side in this rivalry. There's just some extracurriculars going on. These teams do not like each other. So there's always the TCU's up 4, gets the ball with 2 minutes left and drives down the scores anyway. There's always the possibility for that. Curious to see where you're going with this.
I have a TCU ticket in pocket, -5.5. I still think we're good, even laying the flat 7. This game got really out of hand last year, and TCU completely remembers the embarrassing 66-42 drubbing on the road, and they've had plenty of time to prep for this game coming off of the bye week after UNC and then facing an FCS opponent, which they destroyed last week. One thing that's not being talked about enough is Kevin Jennings was hurt in the Baylor game. And then if you watch the end of the Missouri State game, they were up 28-10. They called a bootleg pass, and Jennings got tackled and had to be carried off by 2 of the medical personnel. And just nobody's saying much about it. So I don't think he's fully healthy. I don't think he'll be fully mobilized. SMU's at their best when he's scrambling around, making plays with his legs and picking up first downs on the ground. He didn't run the ball hardly at all against Missouri State. I don't think he runs it here. I think it changes the way that they're going to call plays. I think TCU is going to come after Jennings. The defense ranks 3rd nationally in defensive havoc. Which are sacks, QB pressures, tackles for loss, all of that. They really excel at getting in the face of the opposing quarterbacks, and I think that could spell big trouble for SMU here. You look at TCU and Josh Hoover, he's been incredible. They have a major dude receiver that they got in the portal from Idaho, Jordan Dwyer, who is incredible. If you're into player props, any Jordan Dwyer number over the receiving total, over the receptions, they're going to throw it to that dude a ton on Saturday. TCU, 32nd in offensive EPA per pass and 17th nationally in pass play success rate. SMU's just 114th defensively in pass play success rate. They're not stopping this TCU attack on the road. There's absolutely no chance. I think TCU could be in the 40s here. SMU will do their best to keep up, but you look at this game historically, the total soars over. There's been an average of, I think, 76 points the last 4 meetings and 102 points last year. I'm not positive on exactly what the spirit of the total dropping is the result of. I think Jennings is hurt, to be honest with you, and I think somebody might know something. But I still think you're good here. If you, whatever number you have, if you're under 63, I think you're good here. The bottom line for me is TCU's a stronger football team. I'm worried about the health of Jennings. I think he's going to be immobilized in some capacity here, and TCU's coming after him, and that'll set up some turnover situations, some short fields, some explosivity in the punt return game. TCU is going to put up a massive number here at home. I have no issue. I would lay it at 7.
Yeah, Jennings possibly being injured definitely would explain some of the movement, both on the TCU side and on some of the buyback on the under. So that would explain it. But honestly, like you said, I agree. I'm not even really worried because I think TCU could score 50. I really think they could score 50 in this game, especially after what SMU did to them last year. It's the last game of the rivalry. I can see Sonny Dykes putting an exclamation point on it. So, yeah, even if Jennings ends up not playing, I still think I'm in good shape there with my over. Next game, this is the ultimate, like, I don't understand why this is so. Okay. In my opinion, the market is definitely reacting to some mainstream media and social media. Mateer has some cool highlights. Oklahoma 7 points better than Auburn, a touchdown. Are we crazy? And I don't know. You might be about to take Oklahoma. In fact, there's a lot of sharp people taking Oklahoma. It's been bought up from 6.5 to 7. I think that's crazy. Based on what we've seen so far, I don't know how you say Oklahoma's a touchdown better than Auburn in this building. If you want to say Oklahoma's the better team, okay, I can get with that. Make it 4. A touchdown? Man, as far as resume, I would take Auburn's road win over Baylor over Oklahoma's home win against Michigan. This is not the 2023 Michigan rushing attack that they shut down. This is the 2025 Michigan rushing attack. That offensive line's not as good. It's not nearly as good as Auburn's. And I'm not expecting Auburn to come in here and run the football in Oklahoma because I don't think anyone could do that. But Oklahoma wasn't running the ball in Michigan. It was all Mateer. And when you've got an offense that's solely reliant on one player like Oklahoma's is, they don't have much support from the running back position. It's easy to game plan against. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mateer throw a pick. They're throwing his name around in Heisman talks. And I think the Mateer hype train is driving this market up. In my opinion, it should be 4. I'm on Auburn. I think Auburn wins outright. It's a revenge game from last year. I know it's also the Jackson Arnold revenge, but I'm more talking about the game last year. Auburn should have beat this team. It's actually crazy that they lost that game. I think Auburn wins outright, but I know it seems sharp college football people seem to be on the other side of this one. So are you one of those sharp people on Oklahoma?
Don't have a bet on the game. This will be a great data point for both, but this is the absolute first real test against a competent defense for Auburn. Oklahoma has allowed just 3.5 yards per play this season, 171 total yards per game, just 17% allowed on third down. 7 out of 41 third downs have been converted successfully against them, and just 1 red zone touchdown all season. The Oklahoma Sooner stop unit is 3rd nationally in defensive success rate, 7th in finishing drives. OU has just completely locked down against the pass. They're going to bring the heat on Jackson Arnold. 7 sacks and 24 tackles for loss already registered against Oklahoma. I think that Auburn could just be in some major trouble trying to move the football. To me, this game screams under. It screams defense creating momentum and really game-changing swings. I just don't know. I'm not there with Auburn. I'm low on Auburn anyway. I have a regular season win under in pocket for Auburn. I think they have a lot coming down the pipe here that's going to be really troubling for them with this game here on Saturday, and then A&M, Georgia, Missouri, Vandy. I mean, how many times does Hugh Freeze have to get Paviat? It's already happened 3 times. Could happen again this year. And then they close out with Alabama. I think Auburn is getting a lot of respect for how they opened up their season against Baylor. I didn't like how they looked. It was a little jerky against South Alabama last week. And I think this is the start of the slide. I can respect an opinion of someone thinking that Auburn's going to come in there and win, and I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm just much, much lower overall on this Hugh Freeze coach team than many other people are, and I think we'll start to see the slide this week, and it could tailspin quickly. I think Auburn could lose their next 4.
That's crazy. Okay, you said you're not sold on the Auburn offense. I can agree with that. I don't know what Auburn's offense is going to do here. You know, Oklahoma's going to dare Jackson Arnold to make throws over top. Is he capable of making those throws? Maybe, maybe not. If you don't think he is, that's fine. I'm not even saying I disagree with you. Why are we not asking the same questions about Oklahoma? That offense didn't look all that great against Michigan. The run game wasn't there. It was all Mateer. One of the biggest plays that set up a touchdown was like a circus play with a sideline catch that they can never do again. I watched that Oklahoma-Michigan game, and Oklahoma controlled the game start to finish. It wasn't because the offense looked so fluent. It was because Mateer made a bunch of highlight reel plays. He also threw a really bad pick in that game. So the questions people have about Auburn's offense, I don't disagree. I just have the same questions about Oklahoma's offense. Honestly, I'm not. Remember, this was one of the worst offenses in the SEC last year, and seems like Mateer has a couple cool highlights. They start throwing him in the Heisman talk, and we all forgot, like, oh, this offense looks great. They just smoked Temple. I don't know. I have the same questions about Oklahoma's offense.
And I do too. Again, I think this is an under game. I think this is a 23-17 type of game. So I mean, I can understand grabbing the full touchdown. I think this is a major under game. I think it's going to be a struggle to accumulate chunk plays on both sides. I don't think these defenses will be beat over the top. And, you know, this could also be for Mateer the start of him really taking an SEC pounding. He didn't have to do that last year at Wazoo. He hasn't really been hit and rattled so far in the 3 games that Oklahoma's played this season. So, yeah, I could totally see that being the case where Auburn's defense steps up and makes it really difficult. I just think it's one of those games where it's like the first 1 to 21 or the first 1 to 23 is going to be the winner here. Don't see a lot of points.
I agree with an under. Let's move on to the next game, which is Michigan, Nebraska. I'm all ears on this one. I think historically you take Michigan. Nebraska loses this game, but is this a new era of Nebraska? Year 3 Matt Rule? I'm all ears because, in my opinion, this is very coin flippy. So I'm all ears.
You know, for 10 years, when Nebraska had their decade of futility there, it really seemed to be handcuffed by inopportune red zone play, inept red zone play, and just crazy fluky turnovers that they couldn't control game after game, season after season. They would find these crazy new ways to lose games. But it really appears that a lot of the turnover nonsense and the red zone woes have really started to get fixed under Matt Rule here in Nebraska. It seems like they, you know, it's been lesser opponents, but they're executing at a high level of efficiency on third down and in the red zone situationally, and the turnovers have been cut way back. And, I mean, just go look at the pressers, the Matt Rule pressers after each game and the halftime speeches. There's been a lot of stuff floating around on Twitter and YouTube about that. This bunch is so locked in and so motivated, and they took no prisoners in their last 2 games, and that's kind of an attitude I like to see from a football team. And now you have Michigan stepping into conference play on the road. I think Michigan's a good football team, and I really think Underwood could mature into a solid quarterback here, but I just worry that he hasn't had enough time in the seat. I think the road game against Oklahoma will help his composure in this situation here. But remember, at Oklahoma, just 9 out of 24 for 142 yards and 0 touchdowns. No team this season has thrown for more than 70 yards against Nebraska. So I don't know that Michigan and their receiving group is going to be able to get the chunk plays over the top, and they're going to have to throw their way out of third and medium in this game, because I think the Black Shirts will give up a little bit on the ground, but I think they're going to load the box with 8. and really force Michigan to do something other than just hand the ball off and run it. Nebraska allowing just 8 out of 38 on third down here. This game to me just seems like a complete slow burning grinder game where both of these teams have a feeling out process in the first half. They play the field position. There's going to be a little of that East Nebraska wind that rolls through during game time, which will affect passing and the place kicking. So I'm not saying Michigan can't win, and I'm not saying Nebraska is going to win, because they need to still step up and prove it that they can win these big games in conference play. But I do think it's a slow burner. I took Michigan's team total under a key number of 24.5. I think there's a lot of paths to any one of these teams winning with Michigan scoring under 24.5. They could win this game 23-17. They could win it 16-17. They could win it 13-10. But I just don't see any one of these teams scoring 4 touchdowns, and I just think it's going to be one of those gut check defensive games. Biff Pogge's on the sideline coaching. You know, the other thing about Michigan is Sharon Moore, their head coach, has been serving a suspension, and he was not a participant in the weekly prep this week, so it's entirely been Biff Pogge. I think he's going to go in there and try and run the football a little bit and possess the ball and play some field position, similar to what we saw his Charlotte teams do. So just another one, first 1 to 20 or first 1 to 23 wins this game.
Yeah, okay, so I agree with some of what you said. So I'm going to put Nebraska up because that's my pick for the game. I don't have a bet on it, and I can't tell if I'm being objective here because I'm a big Matt Rule fan. I've been in many barroom debates about how Matt Rule was not given a fair chance at Carolina. I'm a big Matt Rule guy. What he did at Baylor was awesome, and year 3 Matt Rule, that's a thing, man. They won the Big 12 or something in year 3 at Baylor, and this is year 3. So I want Matt Rule to succeed, and I really want Nebraska to win this game. So I can't tell if I'm being objective. And the one thing you said that I'm a little hesitant on, you were talking about how Nebraska's going to load the box up, force Underwood to make throws, which I can't disagree. I mean, Oklahoma laid the blueprint on how to stifle this offense, load the box up, take away the run, make Underwood throw it. So I can't disagree with that. I just don't know if Nebraska has the pieces in the defensive front to do it like Oklahoma did. Oklahoma has the best defensive front in the country, and Nebraska last year had an extremely strong run defense, but this year they lost a lot of those pieces. And when I was doing the offseason stuff, there was one area of concern for Nebraska. It was the defensive front. Now, it's Nebraska. They reload in that position group pretty frequently, so I'm sure they'll be fine, but I don't know if Nebraska can take the run away from Michigan like Oklahoma did. And I personally think Raiola can make throws here, and I love that Nebraska offensive line. You no longer have a freshman quarterback. You now have a sophomore quarterback with a much better offensive line. So I think this Nebraska offense is going to be good this year. I haven't bet on them yet. The only chance the only real data point we have for Nebraska is that Cincinnati game, and it didn't look anything like I expected it to. Now, Nebraska got the road win, big win, Power 4 win, but Cincinnati was running the ball all over Nebraska, and then the Nebraska offense was stalling out at times against a Cincinnati defense I don't think is very good. So I don't know. I'm hesitant. I'll be rooting for Nebraska. If I bet Nebraska, it'll be me just doing some gambling, betting on the team I want to win, rather than placing a advantageous wager.
That's dangerous at times. It's fun. It's fun to do that, but it is dangerous.
Yeah, I want to see Matt Rule succeed, and I've had enough Michigan.
You do. Yeah.
Okay, interesting choice here, Duck. You went with the Northern Illinois-Mississippi State game, but I think I know what you're going to say. I think you're going to take the points, and I think you're wrong.
Yeah, we've just seen Thomas Hammock coach teams time and time again go in there, control the clock, play keep away, run the ball, and it just seems like kind of a downer spot here for Mississippi State. They really threw the entire kitchen sink at Alcorn State last week, which I predicted. I was on Mississippi State, and this one here just kind of seems like the traditional look ahead here. You're peeking ahead to what's coming down the pipe, which is Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Florida. And I mean, we saw the blueprint for Northern Illinois against Maryland. Go in there, run the football, play the field position game, keep it a low-scoring affair, and it's just one of those games where I think Northern Illinois is going to be able to do a couple things with the running back room and get the quarterback out of the pocket on the move. that'll break down the Mississippi State defense. Mississippi State's a great team. They've completely overperformed in every one of their 3 games this season. But this just looks like the spot play where this pesky MAC team that's going to run some 12 personnel, they're going to run heavy out of the gun and run 2 or 3 different running backs that'll carry the ball. It's just going to look a little bit different this week for Mississippi State, prepping for a big home showdown with Tennessee.
I agree. It's a look ahead spot, and it's a big number, over 3 touchdowns. I think Northern Illinois is really, really bad. I think they're one of the worst teams in the country, and this was already a bad offense last year. They lost a lot of their pieces. I mean, they've opened up the season against Holy Cross in Maryland. That's who they've played, Holy Cross in Maryland. They're averaging 4 yards per play with a success rate under 32%. I mean, this offense is really, really bad, and Mississippi State doesn't get many opportunities to play a lockdown defensive game. They're getting an 89-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle here. They should be able to really shut down this offense. I think Northern Illinois truly, if you're like ranking offenses, it might be like 133, and like it's bad, this Northern Illinois offense. And I honestly don't even think the defense is very good either. I know they played great against Maryland, and maybe I'm wrong on that. This was a very good defense last year. They lost everybody. They didn't even really reload, but they got some FCS talent on there. I don't think this defense is very good either. I think that Maryland data point is a little bit of fool's gold. So Mississippi State looks strong. They're playing with a lot of I don't know if Mississippi State has a look-ahead spot right now because they're riding the lightning. I think Mississippi State thinks they're going to go on a run here. So I don't know if there is a letdown spot for a team with this kind of energy. I'll put Mississippi State. I'm not laying more than 3 touchdowns in the Mississippi State, but I think Northern Illinois is a bad football team.
Sounds like we need to go head-to-head for a little bar tab bet here on this one.
Yeah. I mean, we'll settle it. It's bragging rights on next week's show.
You know, the thing, too, about Northern Illinois, they brought in a new offensive coordinator who was trying to completely retool the offense from the Division II ranks, and it looked a little jerky and choppy the first couple of games. Now they get the bye week to kind of retool it, reassess what worked, what didn't work. I think you're going to see a couple of things that we haven't seen offensively. And, you know, old habits die hard. You're going to see Thomas Hammock go in there and run the football. That's what he wants to do. That's what he's comfortable with doing. And if there's anybody who can motivate their team, you know, Northern Illinois, they're an atrocious home favorite. They're maybe the worst home favorite in America over the last 5 seasons. But they are incredible as a road dog. You get Northern Illinois as a road dog. It's like 77% under Thomas Hammock. So I'm not entirely a trends capper, but I do like the fact that this is a spot where they generally play up.
Mississippi State defense, by the way, and I'm not going to go as far as to say Mississippi State has a good defense, but Southern Miss and Arizona State, those are not scrub opponents. 38% success rate, under 4.3 yards per play allowed. 18. They're playing good defense, man. I think Mississippi State in blowout fashion. They're playing with a lot of energy. I think we're going to disagree on this one as well. I don't know what you're going to say, though. For those listening, we've moved on to Delaware FIU. Delaware makes its this is the first ever CUSA game, right? First conference game?
Yeah, conference road game. Now, I just think Delaware is out of gas. I think Delaware is overperformed, but I just feel like this bunch is going to be out of gas. They had to go play Colorado at Elevation a couple of weeks back, and then they double back for an old Northeastern Yankee Conference rivalry against Connecticut, a game that they really, really wanted to get. And they did, and now they're riding high off that win, and they've got to regroup and travel down to Miami. FIU has been so vastly improved and has really come together as a unit under this coaching staff. We've seen so much inspired play from the Panthers. I mean, just pull up the film against Penn State. They went toe-to-toe with Penn State for 3 quarters. It was 10-0 at half, and FIU was 0 for 2 in the red zone, going for it on 4th down, really throwing their punches. It was incredible to see. But I look at the pass defense. They did really well last week to limit FAU in their pass-happy offense. They intercepted 3 passes. They finally win the Shula Bowl. I honestly think that FIU is live to win the conference. But going back to Delaware, just such a terrible downer spot here after that massive win against Connecticut, back and forth game. They've maxed out now 2 weeks in a row. And I think FIU's defensive line is really going to get after it here against the Delaware offensive line that's already allowed 9 sacks. We've seen FIU defensively in the red zone, 12 red zone trips, just 3 touchdowns given up. They've been excellent finishing drives and limiting opponent scoring possessions. A thing to watch for here for Delaware, they have no faith in their kicking operation. Their kicker was just 1 for 4 on field goal attempts this season before they, in desperation fashion, attempted the field goal to force overtime against Connecticut. But they don't have confidence in the field goal operation, so they're going to go for it on 4th down when they get close. FIU's been locked down on 3rd and 4th down this season. One other thing I'll just say, too, Delaware's defense, 118th nationally in rush EPA per play, 125th in defensive rush explosiveness surrendered, and 91st nationally in defensive success rate. This Delaware defense is undersized. They play spirited football, but they're gassed here. They're going to get thrashed by FIU.
I agree with every single word. I thought you were going to say Delaware. Yeah, I mean, out of gas is the perfect way to put it. Guys, they're doing this with a backup quarterback and an injured wide receiving core. They're missing 2 of their top 4 receivers, I think it is. That's going to catch up to them eventually. And clearly this kid, Minicucci, is good. Like, he takes over. Their starting quarterback got hurt like the second series of the season. And he takes over, and he's been throwing it. But this is an FIU defense that's, I mean, it's looked a little vulnerable to the run. But actually, it's been really strong against the pass. They kept Penn State from throwing the ball on them. I mean, their last 2 games, they played Penn State and Happy Valley, which amazing data point for FIU. Then the other game was a rivalry game against Florida Atlantic, who is a bad football team, but that's Kitley at head coach, Velkamp at quarterback. That's a passing attack. That's a quarterback that can throw it and a head coach that can scheme up some passing attacks. So, yeah, I believe in this FIU pass defense. I think this is a strong team, and this is the perfect spot for Delaware's offense to come to a screeching halt here. And on the other side, like you said, I mean, it's just not a good matchup for what you said about Delaware's defense. Their numbers against the pass are terrible, and they're going on the road. Their first ever FBS conference game against the most experienced quarterback in the conference who could definitely throw the ball. Their last 2 games, Delaware, their 52.2% success rate per dropback. They're allowing. The numbers look bad against the pass. Jenkins, look, his career there has been up and down, but he's been pretty consistent. The team around him has been a little bit up and down, but yeah, I think FIU wins this comfortably. So I'm with you. I thought you were going to say Delaware.
I love it, man. I love being in lockstep with you.
Yeah. This is where we're going to disagree, because I know every single person's buying this ECU number down, and I'm not.
Well, we're really going to disagree then, because not only did I take plus 8.5 with ECU, but I've made a significant position on ECU on the money line. They're going to win this game on the field. East Carolina was a team that I researched early in the season, in the off season, and I wanted to fall in love with ECU as a dark horse to win the American, and I just could not get there. And I could not get there because of the flippant play with the football, the turnovers, and what they lost on defense. But when you look at ECU and who they've played and how they've played, significant, vast improvement in several key areas. Caden Hauser has been such a surprise for me this season with his maturation, with how he's throwing the football, 72% completion percentage, 325 yards a game, 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and 5 different players have at least 8 catches. So they're spreading the ball around. This team has been excellent converting 3rd downs. They're fantastic in the red zone. But you look at the ECU defense, they have been completely lights out this season. 2 yards per carry surrendered on the ground, just 32% on 3rd downs. If you go look at the film from the second quarter on against North Carolina State and into the FCS game and then into the 38-0 game against Coastal Carolina last week, this defense has been absolutely completely lights out. The offense already has 20 red zone attempts on the season. And BYU's stats are so skewed by who they've played. They played a bottom 10 FCS team in Portland State, and they played Stanford, who couldn't throw the football. And we just don't know anything about this bunch defensively and how they're going to defend the pass. I think the secondary is going to get stressed majorly in this game. ECU is going to pass it around against BYU. And you look at Bear Bachmeier, if you put on his footage in the 2 games they've played, when they call pass plays, he stands there in a clean pocket and he holds onto the football forever, stares down his primary target. This is going to be trouble for a competent defense that's going to be able to defend against that. And I think ECU is going to plug holes in the run game with their D tackles. You've got now a cross-country trip. ECU gets to host a P4 in their building out there at Dowdy Fickle Stadium in Greenville. This is going to be a wild – I almost thought about going to this game. It's not far from where I live, but I don't leave the command center on Saturdays. But, oh, yeah, this is a rare opportunity for a program-defining win for ECU. No points needed. They're going to win this game on the field.
Here's the thing when it comes to Caden Hauser at quarterback, and if you're unfamiliar with ECU, they made a head coaching change halfway through the season last year. They fired the head coach. Blake Harrell took over as interim head coach. Around the same time, they made the change at quarterback to Caden Hauser, and ECU started slinging the ball. I mean, they're throwing the ball over the field, explosive plays. The final score of ECU's game started being 45-35. The style of play changed. The offense was more explosive. Where we saw high-scoring games, we saw dramatic change. And everyone, including myself, I was talking about this last year, I became a buyer on the ECU offense and Caden Hauser. Here's the thing. This dude has proven nothing to us in terms of his ability to move the ball on a good defense. Who has he played? What is one impressive defense that Caden Hauser? Last year when he took over the starting job, they went off, right? Ready for these defenses?
Bad defenses, yeah.
Maybe the 4 worst defenses in the country. Temple was terrible last year. FAU, one of the worst defenses in the country. Tulsa, the worst defense in the country. North Texas last year, one of the worst defenses in the country. Then the final game of the year, I bet ECU, guys, this offense is electric. They finally see a half-decent defense in Navy. They look like shit, got beat by 2 touchdowns at home. This year, who has he done it against? Like, I guess NC State is a respectable defense. He didn't even play well. They lost that game, and NC State's defense looks like shit. Like, this is... I haven't seen anything from Caden Hauser that shows me he's capable of those, giving us those explosive plays against a respected defense. And BYU, I feel like they have a kind of a chip on their shoulder. They were being talked about it as a top 25 team. Then the oh my God, what's the quarterback's name? The quarterback, Retzlaff. Then the Retzlaff nonsense happens, and all of a sudden everyone's just like writing them off. And I think the rest of the BYU team has a bit of the chip on their shoulder. I think Hauser's going to throw a couple interceptions in this game. And you talked about the ECU run defense. It does look very strong. NC State can't run the ball. I mean, they haven't seen a rushing attack yet. This running back that BYU got, he looks pretty good. I would go under because I agree. Bear Bachmeier in this environment is wild. And I'm not really sold on BYU putting up a big number. So I would go under, but I'm not sold on Caden Hauser because he pieced up like 5 of the worst 7 defenses in the country. BYU's defense should be pretty strong, so I'll go under. It seems like the Sharps are buying in on ECU. They bought it down to 6.5.
Yeah, and BYU is so unproven. I have this group power rated about 8th in the Big 12, down there with Kansas, Cincinnati, and well, now K-State. I still we're going to need to see a lot from BYU given the competition that they've placed. We're going to learn a lot about this group now, and then also next week when they go to Colorado, then we'll be able to project forward what they're going to do the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's tough to lay 6.5 on the road with Bear Bachmeier at quarterback. What does he even give you? I can't do it, but I really think Hauser's going to struggle in this one. I think he showed us he's turnover prone also. So, all right, Duck, where can the people find your stuff?
Action Network G5 Deep Dive that I co-host with Mike Calabrese. I do the BBOC live show on Saturday mornings on YouTube. I host the BetUS live show with Kyle Hunter on Tuesday and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and also Scott Sadenberg is there. And Twitter, plenty of discussion there, and I'm a lot of places. I would get to be on your show every Thursday night at 12:30 a.m. Eastern time into Friday morning. So I'm a lot of places here. So exciting to talk college football, and man, we're already in week 4, so it's crazy.
Yeah, it flies by. That's his Twitter on the screen there, and he'll tweet out when he's on a show. He does a bunch of shows, like he said. So just give him a follow on Twitter, and you can follow along when he's popping up on different shows. Doug, enjoy your night, man.
Same. See you at the window, brother.
Yes, sir. All right, now we get to the scrub hour. Now all the sharp audience, all our sharp audience members leave. They can't hear you. Toast just said, "Watch the ratings skyrocket now." Now every member of the sharp audience just left.
Well, it is a little demoralizing when I get a little puffy in the chest when I see when I do the shows when you're not on and there's the 20K, and then I do a show right before a college football or before you post a college football video and there's 20,000 views on that and only 5,000 on the baseball video, and I'm like,
yeah, football's king.
I know.
All right, so it's just you. So I'm just doing polls and rapid fire here. A's, Pirates in Pittsburgh. Mitch Keller against Severino.
Over. Mitch Keller has kind of fallen off of a cliff over his last 8 starts or so. His last 3 has been somewhat respectable, but Boston and Washington really offenses that are kind of struggling right now. He does struggle with lefty bats. It's not like the A's are loaded with lefty bats or anything like that, but Kurtz, Soderstrom are both pretty good lefty bats. But more than anything, this Athletics offense, we've preached about this over and over again, has been one of the best offenses on the road and one of the best offenses versus right-handed pitching in Major League Baseball. So it's really hard for me not to think they're going to score some runs. They've gotten runs off of Giolito and Hunter Green. And Hunter Green, obviously, we just saw tonight, had a one-hit shutout, I think it was. So that was pretty impressive. And then as far as Luis Severino, same type of story. He had been pretty decent on the road, but 2 of his last 3 haven't really been great. St. Louis didn't get to him, which was, St. Louis is so bad right now. I don't even really put too much into that. He was much better on the road, but in the preseason or earlier in the season, excuse me. But he's kind of fallen off of a cliff right now, especially 3 of the last 4 starts. So this Pittsburgh team I know isn't great offensively, but at home they get a major jump. So over 8.5. It was 110. It's starting to jump into the 115s. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 9s before first pitch tomorrow.
Braves, Tigers, and we got Kenny in the chat saying that the Sauce Network ratings skyrocket during Grizz talk.
This is true as well. Shout out Kenny. This one, it would actually be Braves or pass for me. Couple things, just really quickly. I'm not going to bet it. I did bet that over, by the way, but regardless, the Tigers are in a free fall right now. And at this point, I know it's not much juice, but I'm right back onto the bandwagon that I was many, many moons ago, but it was never laid juice with this Detroit Tigers team. And they kind of went on a little bit of run, but they have been absolutely terrible. And now Cleveland's right at their doorstep. And this Braves offense on the road has been absolutely smashing the baseball. They're a top 5 team on the road over the last 30 days. Not great versus right-handed pitching, but Charlie Morton is going 3 or 4 innings and giving up 3 runs every time he goes out there. So I have no trust in Charlie Morton, and believe it or not, Bryce Elder hasn't been pitching bad. Yes, his last start he got destroyed, but his previous 4 before that were really good against Chicago twice, the Phillies, and the Mets. So he's definitely had his blowups. It's Bryce Elder, but at the same, like I said, he hasn't even been pitching that bad. Matt Olson's on an absolute tear right now. I think there's a reason that you're not getting Atlanta or barely getting Atlanta at plus money. It would only be Atlanta for me.
All right. Braves up. Yeah, the Tigers only 3.5 games up. All the teams that the comments tried telling us were awesome. The Rays, the Tigers, the Cubs. Actually, the Cubs still finished off with a good season, so they might have been right about the Cubs. But Rays, Tigers, and what's the other one? The Marlins were on a hot streak. They're like, the Marlins, how are they? Remember when it was the Marlins at Houston, and it was Astros minus 115? They're like, how are they dogs? I don't know. Well, Marlins?
Dude, Mizorowski, we'll get to it, never mind. But Mizorowski is barely a favorite against the Cardinals, who are just terrible. But anyway, Cubs and Reds, for those who are listening, I bet the Reds already at plus 106. I think this is going to close really well for us. I don't really like Shota in Great America Ballpark at all, not to mention the fact he's been kind of average over his last 7 starts. Couple good ones in there, but usually 5, maybe 6 innings of 3-run baseball. So it's nothing great. But I think this is more, for me, this is more of the Reds in a really good spot. They come home from a long road trip. They didn't look good, and now Hunter Green pitched, like I just mentioned earlier, a one-hit shutout. And now you have Lodolo on the mound, and I get that he hasn't been great, but a lot of those starts, six of his last 7 starts have all been on the road. His one start at home was against the Dodgers. He went 5 1/3, only gave up 2 runs. I think Lodolo pitches well tomorrow. Obviously, with Hunter Green's complete game, they have a rested bullpen behind him. The Cubs are already in the playoffs. They have really nothing left. I think this is a really great spot against Cincinnati. I got them at plus 106. You can still get them at plus money right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this game's a pick when we first pitch tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like Imanaga always opens up overpriced, like every time.
Yeah, he's a big name and people like him a lot. So
yeah, I just feel like that's always happening. I feel like whenever Imanaga pitches, my first reaction looking at the line is always like, "What?" Like with
he's a fly ball guy. He's a fly ball guy, so he's kind of park dependent at times, weather dependent at times.
Yeah. When the wind's blowing in at Wrigley, he's like the best pitcher in
Dominant.
baseball. Yeah. Try hitting a homer out.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
Yankees on the road in Baltimore. It feels like a really cheap price for the Yankees. I guess you can put them up for me. I'm not going to bet them. For one, this isn't me trying to say anything bad about Trevor Rogers. He's been absolutely phenomenal versus good and bad lineups. But the Yankees have been an absolute powerhouse versus left-handed pitching this year. Number 1 in WRC plus, number 1 in OPS, second WOBA. On the road, they're number 1 in WRC plus, OPS, and WOBA as well. This team offensively really doesn't have any issues. So they've also got to Crochet, Framber Valdez over the last 2 weeks or so. So it's really hard for me not to think that the Yankees put up some run on Trevor Rogers. But again, he continues to go out there and pitch gem after gem after gem. So again, I'm not running to the window to try to fade him. And then as far as Will Warren goes, dominant, almost you can say dominant at Yankee Stadium, but on the road, he's been absolutely terrible. He had a decent start against the White Sox and St. Louis, but I mean, it's really been bleak for him. 5.81 ERA, a 161 whip, a 421 xFIP on the road this season. I just don't know in a divisional game like this. I don't know if I can really trust him. I think the Yankees are a short favorite for a reason. Warren also struggles with lefty bats, so that's going to be Holiday, Henderson, Cowser, that Basello catcher that they just signed, who's supposed to be one of the best prospects in baseball. That's why they signed him to all that money. So there's avenues for me to see both teams get some runs here. But again, I'm not playing it over 9 either. So it would only be the Yankees for me. I think their offense is just the major advantage here.
Next up is, I keep forgetting to switch the screen. Next up, Nats on the road against the Mets. Andrew Alvarez is on the mound versus Sproat.
Yeah, it'd be under or pass for me. I don't really have any interest betting this game. Alvarez has been pretty damn good against Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Miami. This Mets team's obviously rolling, looked really, really good against the Padres their last series. So not really trying to get in front of them, but also really not trying to pay this price. So it would only be under for me. This screams a boring game. I think both of these guys could actually pitch kind of well, but I have really no interest.
Yeah, it doesn't. Not exactly marquee names here on the mound in this one. Hopefully the Mets win. Next up, Red Sox Rays in Tampa. Rasmussen, is Rasmussen still going 90 pitch starts? Is he pitching full?
Yeah,
workload?
he's full go. Yeah, he's been just.
So that was
fine.
just a bunch of bullshit at the All-Star break then.
Kinda, yeah.
They're like, we're slowing him down for the season. He's only pitching 40, 50 pitches a start. And then he did that for like 3 starts and then just went back to normal.
Yeah.
Or were they just like, screw it?
Pretty much. He had 2 months ago, he had 76 and then 79 pitches. And then it was 91, 85, 72, 82, 80. So they just completely threw it out the window.
Yeah, bad idea. Never mind. Scratch that. Tell the trainer to screw off.
Like, whatever. This, I feel like they're just asking you to bet the Red Sox at this price. I guess you could say that Garrett Crochet hasn't been as dominant over his last 3 or 4 starts. But I mean, still 6 innings, 3 runs, 12 strikeouts against the Yankees. Again, it's the 3 runs I'm talking about, obviously, with the total here set at 7. But and then got destroyed by Cleveland. But I mean, everybody has days like that. I don't really put too much stock into that. And then Rasmussen's just super consistent. I mean, if you look at our sheets, or Baseball Reference like I use, it's 5 or 6 innings of 2 or 3 run baseball over and over and over again. Not to mention the fact that he has pretty decent history against this Boston team as well. Crochet also pitched against this Rays team earlier this year in Boston, went 9 innings, only gave up 3 hits and no runs, obviously. Boston, I feel like, is the better team. I don't think that's a question about that. Obviously, without Roman Anthony, it kind of sucks, and they're really not playing well right now. But it's one of those situations where they just look like dog crap at home. And now this is going to be their first game on the road with their ace on the mound. I really think Boston wins. This price scares the crap out of me, though. It really doesn't make sense. But it would only be Boston for me.
All right. Next game is Toronto, Kansas City. And speaking of team, I mean, Toronto just 2 or 3 games up on the Yankees now?
Yeah, like 3.5, I think it is, or something like that. I'm not positive. Nothing crazy, but still playing really, really good baseball. Lost Bo Bichette, and they're still 7-3 their last 10. I'm not sure if it's for the year. I'm not positive on that, but I don't think so. I don't think it's for the year, but I'm not positive. But I bet Toronto in this one. This team, again, like I just mentioned, just continues to find ways to win games. And the games that they've lost, it's been Hoffman blowups. I mean, it really feels like that. I mean, like I said, they're 7-3 their last 10. Max Scherzer's been average, but on the road at Yankee Stadium, he gives up 4 runs. I mean, I don't really fault him too much for that. He faced Milwaukee, who's obviously one of the best teams in baseball, at home, gave up 4 runs, and he gave up 4 runs to Minnesota, who Minnesota's been actually pretty hot offensively if you've been watching Major League Baseball. Surprisingly, they've been scoring plenty of runs. And then you have this Royals team that has just fallen off of a cliff. They were really hot after the All-Star break, but 9-11 their last 23-7 their last 10. And I mean, who's really trying to back Michael Lorenzen? So I think that we're getting Toronto at a cheap price. I got them at 136. I'd still play them at 140, but I think we're getting Toronto at a really cheap price because Scherzer hasn't been as sharp over his last 4 starts. But like I said, it's been versus a lot much stronger lineups than this. So Toronto's going to have all their major bullpen arms available besides Sir Anthony Dominguez, which who cares? He's been good for them, but who cares? It's Toronto for me. I already bet it.
Let's see. Yeah, you can still get a minus 135, by the way.
Perfect. Maybe that's what I got. Or maybe I can't remember.
That doesn't look like it's going to be there very much longer. Just give it on MGM. Padres, White Sox in Chicago. Still Cease against Davis Martin.
I really want to bet. You can put the White Sox up for me. You guys know I don't really trust Dylan Cease at all, and I know coming back to Chicago, everybody's gonna maybe tries to make a thing of that, but I don't really like the spot for him. First of all, if we know anything about Dylan Cease, if he has 3 or 4 good starts, you know the blow-up's coming. He's had 3 really good starts against Baltimore and Colorado twice, so not to mention he's had 102 pitches and 109 pitches his last 2 starts. I think it's very capable that he gives up some runs here today. And Davis Martin hasn't been great, but this Padres offense is so hit or miss. The numbers are decent. It's not like they have terrible numbers, but if you look at their runs scored in their games and stuff, it's just so hit or miss. So it's really, really hard to pin your ears back and find a spot that you're like, yep, the Padres are going to score some runs here. So not to mention the fact that the Padres numbers that are good versus right-handed pitching and on the road and stuff. I mean, some of them were aided by really bad Colorado starts. I mean, 3 or 4 of them were 6 off of Marquez, 4 off of Senzatilla, 5 off of Bradley Blaylock, 6 more off of Tanner Gordon. So, I mean, you take those not take them away, but cut them in a third or whatever you want to do to average them out. I don't really think this Padres offense is as impressive. So it would only be the White Sox at a big plus price.
Early in the season, I feel like overs were money in this ballpark because I remember thinking that the White Sox had an under park and it over kept hitting.
To be honest, I was thinking about an over, and I didn't understand why it was.
Yeah, flat 8. Why?
Yeah,
she sucks. Marlins, Rangers in Arlington. Junks on the mound against Tyler Mahle. Wow. Is he just coming back from injury? I haven't heard his name in a while.
Yeah. Man, it would only be the Marlins for me. This is like a complete pass for me, guys. You have no reason to bet this game. I mean, the Rangers have been trying to play much better, but it's been really hard. I mean, they looked like crap in Houston, and I get that Miami isn't good and they're coming out of Coors, but I mean, Mahle's coming off of a 60-day IL stint. I mean, he hasn't pitched in a long time. I mean, he's been good when he has pitched. Not the last two, his last two starts, but previous to that, he had been really, really good for them. So maybe that was the injury, but there's no way in hell I'm laying this price with him right now. So it would only be Miami or pass, but emphasis on the pass.
Seattle, Houston, huge series.
Here we go.
For those of you that haven't been following along with baseball, these two teams are tied for the division lead, and this is it. I mean, whoever wins this series is going to be in the driver's seat. Now, there's still baseball to play after this, but yeah, this is the series of the year for these two teams right now.
Yeah, I bet Seattle. I don't think that this isn't me trying to fade Hunter Brown or anything like that. But what I will say is I think that Hunter Brown and Brian Wu kind of cancel each other out. I think that I don't need to go into detail and throw a whole bunch of stats out to let you guys know how good both of these guys have been throughout pretty much the whole season. So if kind of depending on who you like is who's the better one, but I probably give a little bit of an edge to Hunter Brown. But as far as pricing it out in this game goes, it's pretty damn even to me. I know that Houston looked really good against Texas. I don't know if that's going to be feasible against a guy like Brian Wu. DeGrom, Merrill Kelly, Jack Ryder, Bryce Elder, all these guys aren't pitching nearly at the level that Brian Wu is right now. And I don't even think it's really close. And you take Jordan out of that lineup, it looks really, really bleak. Once you get past Christian Walker at 4 with Carantini, Diaz, Sanchez, Myers, and Cole, I know that Diaz can kind of show up at times, but on the other side, you have a Mariners offense who's like one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball. Some may say the best offense in Major League Baseball. I don't believe that, but if you look at all the numbers, I mean, they're 1, 2, or 3 in pretty much every category you want to look at. Right-handed pitching, on the road, left and right-handed pitching in general. It doesn't really matter. They've been absolutely fantastic, and they've been on an absolute roll right now. I just think that everything's a wash as far as bullpens and as far as starting pitching is concerned. And I think Seattle has a huge edge offensively. So to get them, they're not giving anything at plus money. It's only minus 102, minus 103. But I bet Seattle at minus 102. I'd be curious to see where this closes. I think I get some decent value. Maybe not with Hunter Brown, but I think this is a really, really good spot for Seattle tomorrow.
And guys, just to harp on how important this series is, the AL wildcard race is really tight. And if one of these two teams, they're tied for the division right now. If Seattle sweeps Houston, they might not make the playoff. Like the wildcard race is really tight. Cleveland's right there outside a wildcard spot. So, and Cleveland's playing really well. So these teams could go from winning the division to not even in a playoff spot in 3 days. It's crazy. The AL is crazy. Actually, the NL is a fun little race too. But I feel like the AL trying to figure out who's going to make those wild card spots kind of a circus.
Yeah, well, the AL, I mean, anything can really happen because, like you said, Boston, Cleveland, and then Seattle, Houston, anything could really happen. In the NL,
Detroit could be there.
Yeah, and in the NL, I mean, you're really only hoping that the Mets. If you're Arizona or Cincinnati, the Mets would have to just fall.
The NL. The only question is, are the Mets going to choke the spot? Like it's the Mets. The Mets are holding it. Are they going to choke? I agree. The rest of the NL is kind of locked up. I
mean, the Padres would have to just lose every game from now.
No, they're up. They're 6 games up on the Reds.
I know. I'm just saying,
the question in the NL is, will the Mets choke it? Because they're in firm control. The AL is like a circus.
They got the kid looking good, Tong kid looking good today, so that's a good start.
Yep.
I don't really know much about Angels on the road in Colorado for you audio listeners. Sam Allegretti, or however you say his name, and Bradley Baylock on the mound. Absolute pass, guys. No reason to bet this game for me. Don't really know much about this Allegretti kid, or however you say his name. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but he's been a career minor league guy since 2001. I tried to look up some stuff on him. Nothing really impressive. So, Colorado is just terrible as well. There's no reason to bet that game.
Twins favored against a team in the playoff hunt. The Twins are not in the playoff hunt.
You said it. I bet Cleveland already. It's not Logan Allen. It's going to be Parker Messick, which is way better. Parker Messick is kind of a unsung hero right now for this Cleveland team, I think. Has 5 starts, and he's been absolutely fantastic in 4 of the 5. The Boston already went 3 2/3, gave up 9 hits and 3 runs. Not great, but on the road at Arizona, 6 2/3 and 1 run. On the road in Tampa Bay, 6 innings, 1 run. Had a home start against Chicago that was really good. Had a home start against Tampa Bay that was really good. I will give you that Minnesota has been very, very good. And Pablo Lopez has had 2 starts since coming back from injury, has been pretty decent in both of them. 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs against Kansas City and Arizona. But I'm getting Cleveland, who's absolutely rolling right now, 15-5 their last 20, 9-1 their last 10, at a plus price. I've already bet Cleveland. I truly don't understand it. I guess maybe that Pablo Lopez is getting some respect, and with Pablo Lopez and the Twins offense doing what it's been doing. But I mean, are we really impressed with the Twins hammering some of the Yankees bullpen and stuff? I'm just really not there yet. So I already bet Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland's right in the thick of it. They need to win, and they have been winning. Milwaukee, St. Louis, Mizorowski, a very, very short favorite.
Yeah. It would only be Milwaukee just because St. Louis is that bad for me, but I think there's a reason that they're only minus 120 favorites. I mean, yeah, you can make the case that Milwaukee's not playing anything or yada, 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 but this team continues to roll. Again, guys, I know I'm going to get hate in the comments and stuff, and people tell me I don't know what I'm watching, but until Mizorowski doesn't give up 3 runs, stop texting, stop typing, stop sending me messages. Like, I don't really care, because you guys you're like making crap up to make this guy out to be decent. And again, every single time he goes out there, he gives up 3 runs. So congratulations. You had a good start against Pittsburgh, Miz. Awesome.
That's it,
but
though.
Again, it's not been great. He doesn't go deep into games, so it's not like he's given up 3 runs in 7 innings. It's 3 runs in 4 innings, like every single time. It's like freaking clockwork. So Sonny Gray's been average. Again, it would only be Milwaukee because they're clearly the better team, but I think there's a reason that they're a short favorite.
Cardinals is the play. Mizorowski sucks, dude.
Dude, I know. If the Cardinals weren't so bad, I would have. But yeah.
Phillies, Diamondbacks in the desert.
I want to bet Arizona. I don't know if I can actually do it. Ryan Nelson's been pretty damn good for this Arizona team. Nobody really talks about him. He had like a 3-week stretch or a 2-week stretch, where he wasn't good, but he's been really, really good for this Arizona team. A 3.3 ERA, a 1.06 WHIP. xFIP's just around 4. So again, nothing crazy. And at home, he's been really good too. A 2.51 ERA and a 0.93 WHIP, a 3.63 xFIP. I don't know what to expect from this Phillies team coming out of LA. I mean, they win the division, they clinch the playoff spot, all that good stuff. Then they go out and they score a whole bunch of runs after that. Now I think all that emotion kind of settles for a day, and then they have to drive down or fly over to Arizona. Walker Buehler looked really good in his first start for Philadelphia. I don't know if he replicates that against an Arizona team that still technically has life in that NL playoff race, like we just talked about. They haven't really been super impressive to me as of late. And they also, obviously, they have that terrible bullpen. So as much as I want to bet Arizona at a very cheap price, it wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Nelson went 6-7 innings of 2-3 run baseball or whatever, and they have a lead going into that, and then the bullpen blows it up. So it would only be Arizona for me. I don't think I can actually do it though with that bullpen.
Also, this might sound a little silly. The Phillies can screw the Mets over by losing. Just saying. They hate the Mets. And Arizona, the Mets need Arizona to lose. So the Phillies.
I would die if they
the
Schwarber and Harper tomorrow.
Dude, if the Phillies could just punt this series and really put the heat on the Mets.
Schwarber, Harper, and Real Muto all out.
There's been a pitching change. They're calling a guy up from single A. Last game on the board, Giants-Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw, his final MLB start, right?
No, maybe, I guess. I don't know if they've made a decision if he's going to be on the playoff roster.
Duh. I guess I just assumed
it's not a duh because I had to think about it.
I guess I just assumed he wouldn't be pitching in the playoffs because he's not. But maybe he will. I don't know. The bullpen certainly isn't good.
well, I'm going to get to that in a second. So what Kyle's talking about is Clayton Kershaw told everybody that he's retiring after this season. So, I really want to fade him tomorrow. You can put San Francisco up for me. I don't know if I can bet it because Robbie Ray has turned back into an absolute pumpkin, which really, really sucks. But Kershaw hasn't really been great. That's first and foremost. It's going to be probably a very emotional night. So is there a chance that he goes out and shoves? Yes. The Giants versus left-handed pitching has been kind of hit or miss. They did just get to Kershaw. I don't know if that, again, I don't really know if that's feasible to do it 2 times in a row with him at home, but the Giants did get to him in 3 innings. They gave up 4 runs. They also got to Eduardo Rodriguez a couple of days ago as well. So over the last week, their last 2 starters that they saw have been decent. Rodriguez did blank them like a week and a half ago or whatever, for whatever that's worth. But at the same time, actually, you know what? Put up the over 8.5 for me. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was watching this and watching the end of your show, and now that I actually have the bullpens in front of me, we'll start with Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray has fallen off of an absolute cliff. 5.2, 4.6, 3.04 earned runs he's given up over his last however many that is, and only 2 of them he's went past the 5th inning. I think maybe only 1 of them. On top of that, the Dodgers are back to destroying left-handed pitching. I know it's 14 innings for Luzardo and Sanchez combined, but that's still 8 total runs. They got 3 off of Ranger Suarez in 6 innings. They just destroyed this Robbie Ray on 9-14 for 5 runs. The Dodgers offense has been kind of back. I know tonight was more of a pitching duel, but offensively the Dodgers have been back. The Giants bullpen is bad in general, and then the Dodgers bullpen we know is bad in general, but they're not going to have 3 of their top guns. Vesia, Trident, and Banda all work tonight, and all going to be 2 of the last 3 or back-to-back nights. So even if they do end up pitching, they're going to be severely compromised. It would only be over 8.5 for me. I'm actually probably going to go bet that actually right now.
All right, everyone, I got a bunch of stuff to do tonight. Tomorrow night is Friday. It'll only be baseball and the Grizz. Baseball and the Grizz. Because the Saturday morning is the college football show. I got a bunch of stuff to do tonight. All the bets are posted up. We got a lot of them open. Spreadsheets are up. You guys know where to find everything on KyleKirms.com. Everyone, have a lovely night.